tonight I'm going to share with you what my life was like for 3.5 years, when I was head over heels in love with a man that I moved halfway across the world to be with. For all you rom-com movie lovers out there, it was very much a meet cute. Picture this. It's a sunny Sunday afternoon here in Melbourne. I'm out with my friends, he's out with his friends. Somehow we start chatting. We had a few drinks, we had a few laughs, we kissed. That was it. I was a goner. What followed was a whirlwind 3 weeks of dating. Before long, I had to go back to the UK, and we decided to try long distance. It was hard. We just wanted to be together. So, 8 months later, I'd quit my job, sold everything I owned, poured hundreds of hours into visa paperwork, and I excitedly got on a plane to start my new life. Unfortunately, there was no happily ever after. It turns out those butterflies I was feeling were actually a warning of the many red flags that I'd ignored. The many red flags that had been there right from the very start. You see, I spent 20 years dating men that weren't good to me, and I didn't realize that wasn't normal. I grew up in an abusive household, and my dad always taught me to put the man first. Domestic violence was the norm for me, as it is for so many women in Australia, because it's a pandemic in this country. 1 in 4 women will experience it, and the number of women we've lost so far this year is 86. And many assume that DV means someone is physically hurting you, but that's not always the case, and it wasn't for me. My boyfriend silenced me. Not as bad as a broken bone, you may think, but imagine this. The person you love most in the world, who you've given up everything to be with, who you love unconditionally, refuses to speak to you. They don't acknowledge your presence even when you're standing right by them. They take away your voice. When he did speak to me, it was self-absorbed or cruel. I distinctly remember him saying things like, "There's something wrong in your head," or "I'll speak to you when I want to." When you hear this over and over again, you start to believe that you really are nothing, that you're not good enough, that there really is something wrong in your head. This behavior usually happened when I broke a rule, or when he felt like it. During one of these punishment cycles, I remember standing in the middle of my apartment, tears streaming down my face. I just wanted it to stop. And it was in the moment when I felt like nothing that I still made the decision. I decided that enough was enough. If I didn't leave, I wouldn't be able to go on living. 3 years ago, whilst he was at work, I packed my belongings into my car and drove to emergency housing. Then followed 5 months of court appearances, police statements, and him telling me he was going to do everything in his power to fix himself for me. He told me everything I'd always wanted him to say. And the most embarrassing thing for me was that I missed him. And I know other DV survivors have similar emotions when it comes to leaving their abusive partner. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I got out. And I started to build a new life. Ironically, he actually forced me to go to therapy and get help, or we were over. And help I got. It led me to life and confidence coaching, and I found a wonderful world of these incredible women who introduced me to personal development. I worked really hard to overcome my negative thoughts. I journaled about how I was feeling. I used breath work to reconnect to my body. I let go of those toxic friendships. And I work with coaches to learn how to heal from the inside out. And I'd been conditioned for so long to believe that I wasn't good enough, that when I finally met a decent and genuine man who was real and he was honest and he loved me for me, I had to go back to therapy to learn how to be in a healthy relationship. And not every day is perfect. I have scars that might never heal. But it's my community and the tools that I've learned that keep me moving forward. Most importantly, I found my voice again. I'd believed for so long that my voice didn't matter, that I wasn't allowed to speak. So I started sharing my story. It was a little at first, sharing behind the scenes of my relationship with close friends and family. Then it was with my communities and my coaches. As I started to heal more and more, I found the courage to speak on podcasts and write articles, most recently in Mamma Mia and Body and Soul. And now I'm on a stage. I'm speaking out loud to all of you right now. You threw me off because you're so that was so wonderful. Thank you so much. But my point is that I don't need a stage, and neither do you. It's just as important to speak to one stranger as it is to a huge audience. I can now say that I've forgiven my abuser because he actually saved my life. Him forcing me to go to therapy was the first step I needed to walk away from him forever. I'm so grateful for the 20 years of dating the wrong men because it led me to the voice I'd been searching for. I'm now a mentor to other DV survivors because I have lived experience and I can advocate for them in this space. Now I'm standing here looking out into this room at all of your beautiful faces, and I guarantee that almost every single person in this room has been silenced in some way, whether it's at work or at home or in a relationship. And I have to ask, when is enough enough? When I decided that enough was enough, my whole world changed for the better. I'm the happiest I've ever been because I made a decision for me that I wouldn't be silenced any longer. Now it's your turn. There's something I want you to do. I want you to think about where in your life you're being silenced and make the decision right here, right now, to speak up. No matter how big or small that looks to you. Maybe it's raising your hand at work and sharing your idea. Maybe it's speaking on a podcast. Maybe it's telling your partner that I do not want to spend Christmas with your family. Not happening. But it just takes one step. Open your mouth and speak. That's it. Let's fill every room with female voices. Are you going to do it? Yes? I said, are you going to do it? Amazing. I invite you to genuinely take this next step. It's time to change your world.
One more round of applause, please.